it's about managing risk. Like, you can do risky things, but if you manage the risk appropriately, which, dude, flying inherently is not the safest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
But you have to manage the risk, and that you do the best you can, and hopefully that hedges some of the risk of not returning one day. But I don't know. You only got one life, Dylan. You may as well live it.
You got to live it. You just go out there and you send it.
Sex, seniority, and salary in that order.
Rock on. You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
It's a show by professional pilots for professional pilots.
I looked back at them and I said, I don't think we're at the right airport. And they go, I don't think we are either.
Each episode, we bring you fascinating conversations with industry experts.
I think I should be a go-to on how to deal with 63, 64-year-old men.
You're going to chase it like a dog chasing a school bus.
But we're not just about the serious stuff. We're here to have fun.
Currently on an overnight in Orlando, and this is by far hell. This is the worst place on earth.
It's a whole thing.
The 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast is your destination for everything aviation, whether you're cruising in the flight levels or just starting your journey.
Welcome, everybody. It's another episode of the 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast. My name is Max. I'm a professional pilot, joined by Dylan.
It's nice to meet you, Max. Hello. How are you?
Terrific.
I like that you're in the hosting role. It looks powerful on you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm home. Dylan's on the road. So how about that?
Big road trip, undisclosed location in Europe. We'll have a whole trip briefing for you at a future episode.
Can't wait.
Long.
Where do we start?
Let's talk about what our show's for. It's for the pros, professional pilots, hosted by two professional pilots, sharing our thoughts and experiences in the industry. And do we have any interesting things to talk about today?
Always. So I've got some good general aviation tales for you, I think, recently. So
you've been grinding.
Went on a trip to Mississippi, and I used to own an airplane. It was called a Murphy Moose. I bought it. It was partially complete. I finished building it, put a lot of work and time and effort and money, and it was great. Flew it around for a few years and then ended up selling it to a dude who was going to swap out the M14P radial engine on it for a PT6, like turbine conversion, because this is a big airplane, held 6 people. It's kind of like a little smaller version of a Beaver. And so, of course, guy lives in Mississippi or whatever, and this was like over a year ago. He's like, yeah, he was a super nice guy, and we've kind of kept in touch because he's asked me questions about different stuff. And, if you're ever in Mississippi, let me know. So sure enough, I ended up in Mississippi, and I texted him like, hey, how close are you to Oxford, where I was at? And he's like, oh, about 35 minutes. And I was like, no way. And so on a trip, we drove up to and got to check out my airplane, but with a turbine engine on the front, and got to go fly it around, which was pretty wild. And it's something else, dude. It's pretty cool, I gotta say.
Got to be amazing to get in the plane that I wouldn't say built, you rebuilt, essentially, and then have a completely new type of engine. Were you explaining to that guy how there was like the compressed air scuba tank in there?
Oh, he knew because they flew it off. He flew it away with him and this other dude that does the turbine conversions that I know. So they flew it off like that way. So yeah, he flew it quite a bit with all the way to like Washington or something with the radial. So he was familiar.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, like when they took it, it was pretty funny because they ran it out of air because they couldn't get it started. Because these radials, they all just take a special combination of love and finesse to get it started. Like it is it takes a while to figure it out. And
I remember.
And we had like one, and then I topped it off with air, and I'm like, that's all I got, guys. So, and we were down to like, he tried it again, couldn't get it. And I'm like, this thing has like one more attempt. And he's like, so I got in there and got it started and and then set the brakes and got out. He got it. They got in, and then they put the engine idling, and then they took off. So it was a whole thing. But anyway, yeah. So we took off. We flew that around, and it was wild. It's just weird to be back in that airplane because it flies uniquely. And so we flew it around with a big motor on the front, and he has 35-inch bush wheels on it now and stuff. So it was pretty neat. And then we land, and he has this like 4-seat Cub with a 520 on it, and and controllable pitch propeller and everything. It's kind of nothing I've never really ever seen. He's like, "You want to fly the Cub now?" I'm like, "I don't care, man. I've already burned enough of your gas. I think at 35 gallons an hour."
Right.
I'm like, he goes, I'm like, "Unless you want to go fly." He goes, "No, yeah, I really want you to fly that." I was like, "All right." So we hop, and I do like hopping in like weird airplanes I've never flown before and just kind of figuring it out. And so we hop in. I'm like, all right, flaps, or it's like electric flaps with this weird switch on the dash, and like, yeah, it was a weird airplane, but it was fun. We took it off. It's just like a big old version of a Cub, and flew it around and landed. And so it was something different on a trip, though. It was cool.
So what are the odds?
What are the odds?
Just pop right in. That's awesome. I think we've got some video. Christian was video, right?
There, so he took some good videos and stuff. He's very.
Have the Khaleesi post all of that. That's so cool.
I'll send that in. So that was cool.
So after being in that thing with the turbine engine, were part of you like, all right, I'd want one of these, or were you like, that's cool, I'm glad I got to see it, or like I just way overkill for what I would need?
Well, no. So the radial engine made about 420 horsepower, right? But it was like over 1,000 pound-feet of torque when you did the math. Somebody had done the math on it.
Yeah.
And so the version of the PT6 on there, it's like a dash 20, so it makes like 600, or is it 650?
Mm-hmm.
600 or 650s or 550? I don't know, something like that. It's more. But so either way, so we take off, and I mean, it pulls hard, but we take off, but so did the radial, honestly. I mean, that thing had a ton of power. I mean, that thing burned 46 gallons an hour on takeoff, just to give you an idea of the radial. And so he put some power to it, and we go, and I'm like, "Wow," and then we rotate, and climb. And I look, and I'm like, we're like almost at sea level there, and we're climbing at, I think, like a couple thousand feet a minute, 2,000 or something like that, or a little over. But it honestly wasn't like staggeringly different than the radial at max power. Now, the difference is you can physically see the cylinder head temps moving towards redline in the radial at takeoff power. So you ain't leaving it in that long. And the difference with the turbine, the biggest difference is you can just leave the power in and just climb till you run out of oxygen, I guess. And so that would have been really nice, especially when you're in high terrain, trying to outclimb terrain and stuff. Because that was always a thing.
It'll keep climbing longer than you can.
But dude, we're cruising around at like 100 miles an hour with the power pulled way back, low altitude, and we're burning like 35 gallons an hour. I'm like, oh, and it holds 80 gallons. So, quick math, that ain't forever. So, but once you get higher, just like any turbine engine, it does better. But with 35s and whatever, it's still pretty draggy. So it's a rich man's game. And that's what I told him when he's like, I don't know, man, I might just keep that radial on there and fly it around for a while. He goes, do you think I should even change? I'm like, listen, Mike, I used your quote. I go, Mike, there's only one reason why this airplane doesn't already have a turbine engine on it. Only one. Like,
one last
safer,
detail I need
more
to
reliable,
figure out.
requires a ton less maintenance, more power, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it just costs a little bit more money, So
significantly more.
Yeah.
Bro.
So it was cool though. It's, it's just weird to come a long way from that. And then to then fly like another version of a Cub was just kind of funny too, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
Full circle, bro.
But dude, this dude has a pond at his house that why we went and flew over his house. He has people there with excavators, and he's extending this pond to make it a lake, and he has amphib floats on the side of his hangar, and he's intending to land this thing on this man-made lake that he's making at his property. It's going to be pretty sick. I was like, whoa, that's next level.
That is wow. You've met your match finally.
Dude, well, it's funny because he has like a pasture and he has a hangar. He built this house not too long ago. He has a hangar there, but he'll take the cub in there, but he won't take the moose in there. And we went and looked at the approach, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sporty in the moose. Like it's because there's some trees you got to clear, diving over, and so I was like, yeah, I wouldn't
just
be ready
stick to the pond, bro,
right now. Yeah. So now he's making this huge lake. And
how many people have a lake they could land their own float plane in on their property? A private lake. There can't be that many.
That's the key. A private lake.
There can't be that many in the U.S.
Oh, dude, this guy, he's got the aviation habit, like a fentanyl habit.
Oh boy,
he's got all kinds of airplanes in different various stages of, things being done. He's out there, working on it. He's got a.
Sounds like he doesn't have young children.
No, yeah, he's got a lot of children with wings on them. It's pretty awesome though.
Different type of children. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I couldn't believe when you told me that and you started sending me pictures. I was like, man,
I know. What are the odds?
What are they?
But never know what's going to happen.
Just got to be ready. That's why these business aviation trips are great. These little hole in the wall towns. You never know what you're going to find.
You never know. You never do.
I had the opposite. Big city. We were following around one of the basketball teams playing in March Madness, and so they're winning, and as long as they keep winning, you keep going, to these games, and it's just really funny because you're there and you're cheering for the team and you're excited, everyone's excited, but then you're also kind of like, if they win, I got to go.
This is kind of like when your kids are in the playoffs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You're
like the Little League playoffs. You're like, you got.
If we keep winning, it's like 3 games today. So your part of you is like, oh my God, we got to get out of here. But then you're like, it's very
go
conflicted.
If I win. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my son's robotics team made the state championship this year, I remember, and it was like this whole thing. And they're like, I made it to state. And you're like, oh, but now we got to go to state.
Yay.
Yay. So, no, very exciting. But yeah, so we had a busy month traversing the country, watching basketball, and it was an adventure. So 35 hours for me in a month is...
Whoa,
that's a lot.
That's aggressive. Well, I don't really have anything great to report on the professional flying side of things. It's a lot more lackluster. But I did just this morning return from my 11-year-old son's first airplane camping trip we went on, which was pretty fun. Unfortunately, they were forecasting big winds here, so and yesterday wasn't like terrible, so we packed everything up, and we brought everything. We brought a pack raft too, because we're camping on this like sandbar that we land on by a river, and so we went out there, and it was too windy to take the pack raft out because we've just been getting blown around. But we did a bunch of other stuff, and it was really fun. But dude, then last night the wind was supposed to. I checked the TAFs at the closest airports. It was supposed to be like calm down to like 8 knots overnight, like multiple places. Dude, it howled last night. So we're in our tent. It's like, luckily I had put I have these special tie downs you pound in the ground that hold real good. So I had the plane tied down, and we're in this tent, and it's like bending over, like the tent's like hitting me in the face because the wind's coming so strong. And it was like, it was ripping. I was like, holy crap. Like, how are we going to get out of here tomorrow with this wind? Like, and I was kind of awake, and all of a sudden, dude, we weren't right under this tree, but we were kind of adjacent to it, and this big branch that was dry, I didn't notice, freaking broke off, and like the last like 5 or 6 feet came on our tent and like collapsed it on us at 3 a.m. So I'm out there with we had to like crawl out of this tent, like army crawl, and I'm out there at 3 a.m. with my freaking headlamp on, like trying to get this tree off of our tent.
Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun, bud?
Oh, dude, we were laughing. It was hilarious. He's like, oh my, he was just so taken aback. He's like, I cannot believe that just happened. Oh my God. He was just like flabbergasted. And we're out there. Luckily, it wasn't like cold. So I'm like taking it destroyed my tent, like poked holes in it. And then it's like blowing dirt in the tent. I was like, I don't know, dude. if this calms down, we may need to get up at like when the sun rises and pack up and bail before the wind, because the wind's forecast to pick up again today. And so we get up, and it was actually like at 4 a.m. it finally kind of like started to decrease and calm down, and so we were able to get up and have breakfast and coffee, and then we loaded up. And by the time I got back to Deer Valley, it was already like gusting to 20 knots. So we're back early today, but it was fun, a lot of fun, just good to get out there.
Yeah, making memories.
He made the whole trip worth it. All because you go camping, it's always all this work, and sometimes you sit there and you're like, I have this nice bed at home, and I do all this work to then go sleep on the ground like a dog. But he's just sitting there, and he's playing with sticks and fire, and we were shooting guns and just being rednecks. And he's like, camping, this airplane camping is awesome. He goes, way better than sitting in my room playing games. And I was like, all worth it.
Ta-da!
Thank you.
Done.
Victory.
Check. See, the airplane camping is nice because you just pop in and you're traveling light. I think you and I used to do all the RV camping trailer, the whole thing, dragging these RVs up hills and trailers and finding spots
side by side.
This summer,
triple towing a boat,
and it's so much work. You're just like constantly working, but they're super fun. The kids love it. This year, I sold my trailer a couple of years ago. This year, I have found a company that sets up the RV for you at the campsite. So you just pull in. It's leveled, everything, water. All you got to do is bring your groceries. It's pulled in. And I think that's the appropriate amount of struggle at this point that I'm interested in for camping, is sort of the still dispersed and kind of out on your own. But it seems like the right level of struggle.
I'm getting lazy. But
that's right. We're losing the fastball.
The old days too, though, when we all had campers, was because our kids were all so young. Like you couldn't. It was the only way you could hang out with your friends and party all night, because we'd go there and then everyone,
all night's a stretch.
Well, yeah, all night, as long as anyone wanted to, and because you just put the kids to bed and then everyone could hang out. So that was a good. Yeah, that was highly motivating. I remember.
Those were the good old days. It was kind of like it was like you're working. It was like when you're flying an airplane with no APU and a honey bucket lav and all that stuff. At the time you're like, okay, this is good. I'm in a jet. And then you sort of, now you get to this point and you're like, I don't know.
That's it. I was trying to explain to my son, like, that's why, we were talking about this. I'm like, it's kind of funny, isn't it, that we go fly on the middle of nowhere and sleep on the ground and with tree branches falling on us and stuff, when we have a perfectly nice house at home. He's like, yeah. I'm like, but there's you can't understand how good things are if you don't have contrast to that. And so it was good. It's always good to be in the middle of nowhere with your kid. So it was fun. Yeah. We had a good time.
Weren't we? You should tell. We'll say this for another time. And that, like, I think we already talked about this on the show, where we were going to do like a camping trip, but then something was going to go wrong, and it was a staged like survival situation.
Yeah. Let's still don't tell anyone about that. Don't tell the kids about that.
Have to say
I still want to do that. But so here's the interesting. So you're in the middle of nowhere, right? There's nobody around. Like, you're middle of nowhere, dude. Like hours and hours by vehicle, and crossing a river that is not crossable all the time, just for reference. So we take off, right? And I have a Garmin in reach, carabiner to my belt. I have Starlink, but now, thank you, Elon, it does not work in motion. It's a long story, but anyway, I have Starlink. You have satellite texting on your phone. You have all these ways to communicate, but the real risk here and I got my kid in the back, and I'm like, so if you take off, and like, here's a good thing. When you park in the backcountry, it's typically not super level, right? Like a ramp. So you have to turn the fuel selector off, because otherwise the fuel will cross feed from the high tank to the low tank, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Of which you never turn the fuel selector off, right? So then it's the struggle is, okay, you can see how this goes, right? And typically you don't like sit there and do a run up when you're in the backcountry, because you're just spitting rocks and stuff and destroying your fabric covered tail, right? So you do it when you're on the pavement before you leave. So you start up, and I sat there for a while to let the engine warm up, but you could see a scenario in which you take off, you add power, right? And right as you get off the ground, that's when you burn the fuel out of the lines, because you forgot to turn the fuel selector back to both, right? And now you're that's why you're not with another plane. You're by yourself. You're in the middle of nowhere. You had no time to call anyone on the radio or activate the Garmin Reach SOS or whatever, right? And then now nobody knows that you've crashed, and what are you gonna do, right?
And whoever's picking you up on Find My Friends or whatever still just sees you at your campsite.
Yeah,
Goes,
exactly.
still there.
So, one thing I will tell you, when I do turn the fuel selector to off, I jam the ignition keys in the fuel selector.
It's funny. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, oh, you should put like your keys on the fuel selector.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, because I'm like terrified of that. So,
if you ever see Max's airplane in the backcountry and you need to take it for a
but even
spin,
still,
now
now
you know
what
where the
happens
keys are.
if something happens, right? And you crash with your kid, and there's nobody knows.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. So I have this whole I have my wife be like the flight follower. So I say, hey, I'm going to text you right before I take off. And then I want you to watch for me to pop up on ADSB. And I'm like, if I don't land, if you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, call the, county sheriff and say, you're pretty sure I didn't make it somewhere. And I said, and also screenshot my location right now, and yada, yada, yada. So we have like a plan.
that must be an easy sell for your wife.
It's kind of funny though, dude. She's just like, okay, sounds good. And she's like right on it. Like she screenshotted me right where I popped up on ADSB.
I think if I started saying that to my wife, she'd be like, I think it's time.
That's what I mean. Well, you got to have somebody. Well, but the thing is, dude, you have to be realistic about it. Like you don't want to be sitting there with a wrecked airplane and your kid not knowing when someone's going to come pick you up.
I get it. I'm just saying it's.
I just think it's like things you got to think about. You got to the harsh reality of what you're doing, right? I mean, you got to kind of have a plan. I don't want to be sitting out there.
Max can't have fun unless there's danger. It's got to be. Lives have to be on the line.
I had this conversation with somebody else recently. It's about managing risk. Like you can do risky things, but if you manage the risk appropriately, which, dude, flying inherently is not the safest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
But you have to manage the risk, and that you do the best you can, and hopefully that hedges some of the risk of not returning one day. But I don't know. You only got one life, Dylan. You may as well live it.
You got to live it. You just go out there, you send it. Just make sure your airplane's tied down.
Yeah. Well.
Your tent's tied down. All right. Well, good GA updates, Max. Yeah. I'm glad
I do have nothing to add, though, on the professional pilot front. So that is all. Thank you.
That's it. Meanwhile, I've been so busy on the professional pilot side, I can't even drum up anything interesting to talk about. It's just been bang, bang, bang. But one thing after another. But all good. It comes in waves. That's what I like about this job. Sometimes slow, sometimes it's not. Let's take a look here. We've got a lot to get to. And while we're going through the general discussion here, a couple items. So I'm going to post a link in the show notes. Did you see the video that Seth Lake sent us that he did?
No.
Pretty interesting. I'm going to post it there, and it's talking about the pilot shortage, the DPE bottleneck, and and the pilot production spike. But essentially, talking about the numbers that he's seeing on his end as a DPE. I'm going to have a link in the show notes. I sent it to James O'Neill. We kind of want to discuss it, but it's a little bit of homework. I'm going to put that down there for you to view and get Seth's take on it as a DPE, and what he sees is sort of like what's going on in the pilot training pipeline, and we'll compare that with what James's hiring numbers are, and maybe get a little bit better of a picture. So that'll be coming up in a future episode. Couple other things in news and brief. Did you hear that the FAA is shutting down the parallel approaches at SFO?
Yes, I did. That's going to be.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like formation flying, dude. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's.
I'm glad I did it. I don't miss it. I would say it looks very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the maintain an arrival rate with not being able to do that. But
yeah,
we'll see.
We will see. Another thing. So when we talked to an airplane manager,
a
couple episodes ago, And Aaron was telling us about how much they're using, just AI is helping to code. Have you noticed how many updates are coming out to that platform?
No. What do you mean? Like, how do you notice all the updates? You mean just from the emails with the new function?
They're sending you an email every week with all new functionality, but I've just noticed this in general. Apps and software are being updated so much faster now because the bottleneck isn't the time to code anymore. It's the ideas for what you come up with.
Yep.
And it's a crazy, and the reason I bring this up is because I have a problem sometimes, which is calculating how much fuel to take from tankering standpoint, right? And you got to call and figure out how much you're going to burn and how much to waive the fee, and what's the price delta between your home airport and the road airport and everything. And there are some solutions out there, but they are not cheap. And so the other day I was like, you know what? We're just going to vibe code this thing. And I'm going to have an AI make one, and I've gone through a few iterations of it, and I made it. And I don't know anything about how to code, but it's super cool. And if you find a mistake, you just tell it like, hey, change the size of this button, or, oh, the math didn't work out here. It kind of figures it out. But the amount of creativity I think that people can have in the next 12 months as people discover this essentially a new superpower, which is basically that anybody can code. I'd be really curious to see what happens on the aviation front, especially because we have such a niche area that's hard to develop, I think, because there's so few users compared to other more traditional software applications that people in the past didn't want to sink money into developing this stuff. And now it's like, oh, you have this niche thing? No problem. Let's write a software built
that's
just
what's funny.
for you.
You don't even need to wait for somebody to sync, but you just do it, just like you did.
Yeah.
Like, let's just make this.
You just create your own thing. Let's just make it. So I am going to, I've made it for my airplane and your airplane and a couple others, but I'm working on going to be able to post this on the podcast website. So you'll just be able to dial in your own airplane and try it out. But that's just one example of, I think, what we're going to see in the next 12 months of just really rapid innovation in a lot of software.
I think we're going to see rapid innovation in a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. But an exciting time for what's to come, I think. And have you been playing around with AI? Any new use cases recently?
I'm working on my local AI model that runs locally. Mm-hmm. Sorry. There's a lot of uses for that.
Yeah.
That I don't really want to talk about all of them, but some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like this, just dumb stuff. Even just dumb stuff. Like remembering to make a stupid get in on this pickleball reservation at the gym that goes like soon as it opens, like very quickly right after. And I never remember. I have to like set reminders on my phone. Like how nice it would be just tell your AI, hey, every Monday at noon, go on here and make my reservation for the following Monday. Like just dumb stuff like that. But just taking that off my plate would be so nice.
Yeah, then it becomes an arms race. I wonder what sort of application something like that would have in aviation.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it though.
I wonder how airline pilots specifically might be able to figure something out.
Yeah, but the problem is, dude, that's going to be so.
It's going to be it's just going to be an arms race,
but you can't. There's no API to the system for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's against the rules. So you can't. I mean, what are you gonna like? Really, you're gonna gamble your job on the
on having your clanker?
Yeah, you
picking up open time for you. Yeah,
yeah, and
somebody will.
IT people at big companies are pretty sharp typically, so they're gonna figure out. Oh, wow, this guy's been refreshing the open time board every 3 seconds for the last, 100 days. When does he sleep? That's weird.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of those things that.
And
the
other
thing
too,
the thing with AI, you have to realize is that it gives you this superpower. It also gives a superpower on the enforcement because now they can sift through endless amounts of data to figure out who's breaking the rules with their AI. Like everybody has it. It's just like nobody wins nuclear war when everybody has nuclear weapons. So
That's right. So it's a mutual assured destruction. Or not destruction. What is it? It's the
no, that's it. Mad. Mutual
deterrence.
assured destruction.
It's a deterrent. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Well, let's jump into a couple of reviews, and then we'll get some emails and flight advice. We've been dying to catch up on a couple of these things here first. I will read the first one here. It's from Apple Podcasts. The review is from SteveOG85. Says, can't recommend this podcast highly enough to anyone who is or aspires to be a professional pilot. I've been listening for over 3 years, from industry updates to career advice to gear reviews and layover guides. It's a great way to get plugged into the industry. Thank you, Steve.
This one's great. This is a YouTube comment from Cave Pilot. You run into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. You run into assholes all day, you're the asshole. It's in reference to episode 206, the leadership style one. So that's great.
I love it. That's good.
I can think of a few people I'd like to repeat that quote to. It's perfect.
You have a receptive. Would that be the way to take the lead, though, Max? I don't know.
Perhaps.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate all of the comments and reviews that folks leave on the show. If you leave us a review, we'll be happy to send you a sticker. Just shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com with your mailing address, and we will get that sent out. I have a bunch of those ready to go out this month. All right, Max, let's jump over to the mailbag, which is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy. If you've ever walked out of training thinking, cool, but none of that looked like my actual job, you're not alone. The real challenge isn't perfect profiles, it's running a professional operation, solid briefings, clear roles, smart risk decisions, and keeping the cockpit calm when the day gets complicated. That's what Advanced Aircrew Academy trains. They focus on crew performance and operational decision-making, threat and error management, workload management, communication that actually works, and building standards for your whole team. Whether you're moving into the left seat, onboarding new crew, or trying to tighten up your flight department, this is training that shows up immediately in how you operate. Check out Advanced Aircrew Academy, aircrewacademy.com. Get on there, schedule for an upcoming course. All right, on to the mailbag. Number 1, go ahead.
All right, Dylan and Max, huge congratulations on the 200th episode of the 215 podcast. You guys have truly mastered virtual hangar flying. The show totally reminds me of the many days hanging out at the airport, catching up with friends and talking about airplanes, flying and enjoying those moments of shared stories, laughs, and talking about all things aviation. It's amazing how you've built a space that feels both entertaining and informative, whether you're diving into industry updates, sharing personal anecdotes, or just bantering about all the things aviation. I've really enjoyed every episode, and I'm looking forward to many more of the laugh stories, industry updates, and aviation fun that make 215 so special. Here's to 200 more. And that is from our friend Jim Dunn.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the kind words. This email says, hello, I would like to keep this anonymous. I love your show and I've been listening for a while. It's been very informative about what to expect in my professional career and has great laughs as well. We all want more Ted. Did you get that picture from Ted today?
Yeah.
Ted's in Greece going out with his crew. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we all want more Ted, of course. I am a young CFI, slightly over ATP mins. I know others probably will be at this crossroads, and I think it could add value to the podcast. I recently had to make a tough decision, and I'm curious what you guys would have done in my shoes. I got a class date from GoJet, and I'm sitting on a conditional job offer from one of the American Airlines wholly owned carriers. The wholly owned is the better company in every aspect, in my personal opinion. The biggest factor is that GoJet has a 5-year, $75K non-prorated contract, and the wholly owned has no training contract. Here are my factors. The wholly owned, pros, pay, bases, AQP training, culture, no training contract. Cons, no class date. GoJet pros, class date. GoJet biggest cons, 5-year, $75K non-prorated contract, traditional training, worse bases, owned by trans states. Take the first available date and sign a non-prorated 5-year contract, or wait for the wholly owned with no contract and stated pros. Would love your opinion and if possible, would love James's thoughts. Well, we're not going to have James today, unfortunately.
What's the I mean, the question is, what's the absorption rate at the Holion, right? Like, what are they hiring a month? Like, what's the competitive? Like, how long are we talking?
It's a good question.
And how old is he? Did he fill out our form?
Didn't have this. No, I think this came out as a traditional email, not a flight advice form. Yeah, so we don't have all the thoughts, all the info. It says young CFI, slightly over ATP mins. I don't think I would go to GoJet.
Yeah, I was gonna say hitching the wagon for 5 years to GoJet is.
I wouldn't do
tough.
that.
That's aggressive.
You know, we a couple years ago when things were crazy, we tried to give the advice that, look, you may think that right now your path is to be to Delta in 2 years because that's what your CFI did and everything else, but be careful of the seat that you take, because if the music stops, you might have to sit in it for a while. And I think that still applies. Now, I get it, wanting to get a seat, at the table a little quicker. I mean, there's a reason why you've got a class date for for GoJet, and probably, are going to have to wait a little bit. And I don't know, man, $75K training contract. That tells me people
5 years, dude.
5 years.
5 years is a
That's
long
insane.
time.
Non-prorated. I don't think I would do that. Too much can change in 5 years. You would just
and that's
be
the
really
only way,
locked in.
dude, that stuff is going to change. Because if they're getting away with that and people are signing that, they're going to keep doing it. Because that's a strong retention incentive. Like, let's be honest. But
that's a lot. If it's non-prorated, that's a lot.
Yeah,
and
they
just have a perfect marketplace right now because they have a ton of CFIs who've been instructing, and they're like desperate to be done instructing, and they'll do whatever it takes to leave.
Yeah.
So, I think we both agree. I would hold off on that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, fellas, thought I'd reach out since you're asking for a helicopter pilot. I've been flying professionally for about 11 years now in helicopters. I just recently reached my ATP mins, and I'm scheduled to take my ATP course at the end of April for fixed wing, that is. That might say something about life as a helicopter pilot, haha. Currently flying on wildfires and have done instruction, private tours, and lots of other odd jobs on the helicopter side of the house. Got my eyes set on one particular fractional operator that I would really have loved to fly for, and I think I've listened to that episode you've done with Mr. Dunn about 20 times now. Feel free to reach out if you want. Thanks. Yeah, man. I think I think it's just an economics thing. The economics of the helicopter flying versus fixed wing, it's just tough to pencil it out to get parity. So it sucks too. It sucks because everybody's like says how much fun it is and everything else, but just can't. I
mean, is it
can't deny the reality? Yeah.
Is it? We talk back and forth about corporate and airline, and
I was just going to say it's the same thing.
You said,
dude.
Is it the same thing of like, all right, now it's time I got to go get a real job?
Yeah,
it's
time to grow. That's what I said.
fun.
I'm like, all right, I guess I got to grow up and get a real job now.
Yeah.
I think that's the same sentiment.
That's a little bit. I guess it's just even more amplified than flying corporate, right?
I think so. Well, especially nowadays, right?
Yeah. All right, a couple emails. I'm going off the list just from the inbox here. Chad sent us a playlist he created. He said, "Gentlemen, been listening to the podcast for a while and never got tired of hearing your perspectives and musings. Makes the commute more bearable. A while back, I found myself along for the ride in the back of a particularly sketchy hotel van. Without the help of AI, I took to Spotify and tried to make a playlist out of song titles that really encapsulate the box of chocolates that is a van ride to the airport.
It's pretty funny, dude. Did you look at that?
I did, yeah. Short ride in a fast machine, no seatbelt. I'm gonna die tonight. Oil change, check engine light. Yeah, it's amazing how many songs are in there. It's really an incredible list. We will share the
really sums
the playlist
it up
if you really, pump the brakes. Yeah,
it's true. Look, we just got one yesterday. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm a newer regional pilot, and I wanted to confirm that Max is 1,000% correct about wearing seatbelts on these van rides. Feels like a roller coaster. From Craig. I mean, dude, it's a thing for sure.
It's really is. So welcome. That's another reason why you got to be, the GoJet van.
Could you imagine though? Like that's how you go out in a hotel van rollover. Jeez.
That would be the worst. I even remember the worst one. It was the Baymont in van somewhere in some small town in Illinois. I remember the driver was just so bad.
Dude, and when it's
all the
like
time.
and you're in like the Midwest or something, or the East,
Yeah.
when it's like all snowy and you're in
Yeah.
Buffalo and it's just war zone.
What are you doing? How did you get to be the one? What do they just throw the keys to the janitor? I guess sometimes. Who knows?
I know what I'm putting on the union questionnaire for the next contract.
Are you going to demand that Southwest
armored vehicle? Yeah.
I thought you were going to put in that the Southwest is going to be required to purchase 3 robo-taxis for every outstation that just safely drive the crew to and from.
That.
It'd be pretty good. All right, next email. Gents, been loving the podcast. Wanted to get you an update. I am the 330-hour guy, former military guy who tripped and fell into the de facto chief pilot job flying a Part 91 gig with a TBM. Just shy of 600 hours now with 150 or so of turbine PIC.
Oh, I remember this, dude.
What started as a pilot job has turned into an apprentice chief pilot role, trying to figure out building a hangar, maintenance, flight schedules, and the department's budget. Oh, and maybe planning up to adding a PC-12 or a light jet. Saying the podcast has been helpful for me is quite the understatement. Imposter syndrome is real for sure, but you guys talk enough randomness that I can pull out helpful tips and tricks nearly every episode. That's an incredible skill because it is very random. Thanks for all your efforts for what you do in the aviation community. Pretty good. I'm glad to hear that they're moving in the right direction.
Never feel bad for the rich guy.
No.
All right. Next email.
Okay. No, that's going to do it for the emails.
Oh,
we've got our flight advice coming up next. Yeah. If you want to join the conversation in the email inbox, it's info@215podcast.com. We are happy to read your emails and discuss, and hopefully you can pick out, how did he phrase it? Hopefully you can pull out some tips and tricks through all of the randomness that we mentioned.
Yeah.
All right.
Careers in the climb and the journey ain't straight. From regionals to fractionals, it's never too late. Maybe you're burned out, maybe just lost sight. We'll help you level off and set that glide right. We've seen busted check rides, busted hearts too, but it's all pilot life and we've been there, dude. So tune in, drop a line, let's clear the ice. We'll keep it real. Welcome to Flight Advice. Harvey Watt got your back when you're down for the count. Life, health, disability, that's what they're about. From medicals to claims, they'll set you right. Keeping pilots protected day and night. So ride in your story. Don't think twice. We got your 6. It's Flight Advice.
All right, Max. Flight advice time. We've been promising a response to this email for like the last 3 episodes, but we keep running out of time. So this is good. It's a business aviation question, which I always like.
Right.
It says, guys, I recently started dabbling in contract flying. I'm a current FO at one of the larger 135s and created an account on bizjetjobs.com, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I've had the account open for about a year and was contacted by a company that needed a contract pilot for a one-day trip. I was on my days off and was able to do it, so I agreed to it. Flew out on my own dime, flew the one-day trip, and then airline home. Period. A couple of days later, the company called me again and said the owner of the aircraft liked me and wanted to know if I could do a 7-day trip with 3 different stops. Again, I agreed to it. I completed the trip and all was good. It's now been 45 days. I have not gotten paid for either trip. When I reached out to the management company, I am not getting phone calls answered, nor are they answering email. My question to you guys, is this pretty common that companies will use contract pilots and then just not pay them? Am I being unfair to think that I should be compensated within 30 days because that's what I put on the invoice that I billed them? At this point in time, I don't even care so much about my own time, but I want reimbursed for the airline tickets and hotel expenses. And when I invoiced this company, I submitted copies of all the receipts so they could see exactly what I was billing them for and that I did not gouge them in any way, shape, or form. This experience has quite honestly left a bitter taste in my mouth over contract flying. I thought this was going to be a great way to make it a little extra money on the side, but now I am not so sure.
Well,
and that's from Brian.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's fairly uncommon to not be paid, but it's not that uncommon. Like we've all heard stories, and I'm trying to think. I don't think that's happened to me before. I think I've had people like slow to pay, but not just
I've
get
had some
totally
slow
stiffed.
pay. One that took over like 60 days, and they were disputing a charge, and same thing. It's just
Your
it's
other
tough.
answer to your question is no, 30 days is more than reasonable. Like,
Yeah.
good people usually, like, you getting paid quick, like within a week. So the next step I would say, so sometimes, this may be happening without the owner's knowledge. The management company that's kind of sometimes will just drop the ball. So if you have a way to reach out to the owner directly or to the other pilot and, and just be like, hey, dude, because if the guy likes you and, wanted you to stick around, I'm sure he would also like to see you paid. But if not, your recourse is
It's pretty
a mechanics
minimal.
lien, essentially.
Here's step one. Here's my question. I good job on putting the 30-day net 30 on your bill, on your invoice. Where did you send that invoice? Was it to a location in South Florida? That's question
You're
one.
always such a hater of the South Florida market.
I mean, there are definitely operators that just churn through contract pilots, and they'll try and stay below the radar. And you'll see, if you're on some of the pilot Facebook groups, people will call them out. I would go and probably one of the first things I'd do is, if you're on Facebook, get on some of the contract pilot groups. There's one called Contract Pilots. There's another one I think called CAJL, Contract Pilots. Maybe professional pilots, or professional jet pilots, or PJP, and just search the tail number or the name of the operator and see if it comes up, and see if anyone else has a similar problem. There certainly are operators out there that will get a reputation is that they won't pay. And this may just be, it might be as simple of an issue as, it's a management company, and, they have a scheduled, payroll, how they do it and the dates, and the invoice has to be received before the 15th to make the checks on the 15th of the next month. I don't know. There could be some type of simple explanation, but I would start snooping around on pilot social media and just sort of get an idea if it seems like there could be a reputation for this operator. And unfortunately, your recourse is pretty limited. It could depend on the state. I know some people have filed mechanics liens on airplanes in order to get paid, but there's a statute of limitations on that, I believe. And I don't remember what that might be, and it could depend on the state too. So there could be a lot of specifics. 7 days, if you're thinking, it sounds like you're probably out, I'm going to guess, close to 10 grand at least. So it might be worth.
That's tough to do too, because sometimes you can't do it for strictly pilot services,
right?
And so but the first thing you should do is write a demand letter, and also call or show up in person. But
the good news is there are now some tools available to make your demand letter look pretty professional.
Yeah, and I've found sometimes when people are doing you dirty like that, you need to become a bigger pain in the ass than it's worth. And that's usually what I do if somebody's doing something like that. Like, I usually when you have a problem, usually being nice is generally gets the most traction. But in cases like this, where people are just ignoring you and stuff, and then there becomes a time where then you need to become a real pain in the ass for people. And that's what I would do. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I'll let you figure it out. But yeah, just become a real thorn in their side, with the owner directly, call them up. You're probably not going to fly for them again. So, and then the other thing too is, remember how you feel now, and you have to pay it forward via these contract pilot websites or Facebook groups and stuff like that, and post about your experience so other people don't get screwed like you. Because again, just like we talked about with like GoJet, and if people get away with stuff like this, they will continue to do it. So, you have to pay it forward for the community too. And sometimes that means not signing the $75,000 5-year contract and waiting a little bit for the good of the industry, and also to inform other potential contract pilots about your situation. So
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I'm sorry your first contract gig kind of give you a bad taste in the mouth on the practice. Contract flying is so weird because all the best contract flying is always word of mouth, or you're getting a call directly from the operator. I don't really. If you're just on a website and you're getting called, unless you're in a hard to find type rating, I don't know. That's kind of a little bit of a red flag for me. Or I shouldn't say red flag. I would definitely do my diligence before I laid any money out. Just getting a call from a random operator, especially if it's not in a town I'm from. It's sort of like, okay, why are they calling me of all people? I don't know. That might sound a little paranoid, but I'm sorry you're getting that experience. Contract flying can be a great side hustle, but it does take a little bit of networking. And most people I know, when they get in the groove, they just like to work for a few operators that they know and they trust. And the random phone call stuff is tougher to do.
Well, that's because, like we said, there's a lot of risk associated too. I mean, it always sounds so good because you're like, oh, $2,500 a day, let's go.
Oh, perfect.
But you're also responsible, especially if you're PIC, if they're asking you to be PIC, and all the airworthiness stuff that we all know about and everything, and insurance and making sure you're named insured. And we've had episodes on this that you can go back and listen to, but there's a lot that goes into it that nobody thinks about until all of a sudden it becomes the most important thing in your life when something bad happens. So
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely does take some work to get it to a place where it can be comfortable, but yeah, keep us posted on how that goes. Search those pilot social media sites. I bet that you might find some people that have had similar results. And also, I wish I was better informed on the lean stuff, but you should find some good.
It's very difficult
there.
Because it does vary a ton by state law.
Yeah.
So
you have to do a lot of research.
And where the work was performed. So where do you do that? Where's the work performed when you're a contract pilot flying across on a 7-day trip?
Yep.
Probably it'd have to be the state in which the management company is based, or the airplane, if those aren't the same.
Registered. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's got to be tough. So
you could see, especially if you've got the money, $10,000 probably get eaten up by a lawyer pretty quick too. It really is your recourse as a pilot is it's minimal, unfortunately.
Yeah, become a pain in the ass. Not too big. Like, don't go put a boot on the airplane or anything like that. There's a line.
There's a line.
Do not ground, hide, disable, block, or retain the airplane unless you have a clear legal possessory right. That's what we'll say. This can backfire badly, especially in aviation.
I think we've all heard the stories of people taking logbooks and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and yeah, that can get you in hot water pretty quick. So sorry for that experience, Brian. Keep us posted on what happens, and hopefully you will get some calls from some more reputable operators in the future.
But if you do go show up in person, make sure you record it and send it into the show.
We'll actually send you a pair of meta glasses if they need to be recorded.
Hello. I'm here to get paid.
Yes, I'd like that.
And I'm not leaving until I do.
Yeah, it's another problem if you're out of state. Hey, but you said you fly for a large 135 fractional, so you'll probably be to their home base airport one of these days. So just on your next trip, instead of eating a crew meal in the lounge, go over there and see what's going on. All right. Good luck, Brian. Thanks for writing in. Listen, if you've got a quandary, you can shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com, or go to the website for an anonymous form, and you can fill it out. The more information you give us, the more we can try and give you our thoughts and hopefully help.
But I mean, just some ideas, you could call the management company and just start with like whoever the chief pilot is, the DO.
Yeah.
Just find any name and just start asking when you call for them directly and get them on the phone. Be like, hey, my name is this, and you guys are stiffing me. Call the owner's company, ask for him, ask for the CFO of his company. Like, that's what I mean by being a pain in the ass. Just like, start calling everybody and be like, hey, I'm not getting paid here. It's like, are you guys declaring bankruptcy? What's happening? Like,
yeah. And you really can, you'll hit the nerve.
Yeah, just start poking. You'll find a way.
It can be a fun new game for you. Yeah, a $20 Chat GPT subscription for the month will probably really pay dividends too when you start writing Google reviews. And you can take
Yeah,
it as far
exactly.
as you
Right.
want.
Yeah. Google reviews, Yelp reviews on the owner's
Yeah.
company and the management
Yeah.
company. You know, it's just, there's a lot of things you can have some fun.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like you're going to be working for this company again. So,
Yeah. Let's
good luck.
start throwing matches. All right.
That's right.
What's next?
That's it, Max. It's a tight rip today because I got a lot to do and I'm jet lagged and it's hard to focus.
Yeah, you weren't
as usual
prying a tree off your chest at 3 a.m. last night either.
No, that's true.
Gale-force winds.
My life wasn't on the line, but yeah,
I'm out there wrapping the seatbelt around the stick of my airplane to try and keep
make sure the fuel selector's on. Let's go.
Out there in my underwear with a headlamp on, and sweatshirt.
So relaxing.
Trying to take a leak in 40-knot winds.
Oh, man. Did you know that it was going to be windy, or did this kind of pop up out of nowhere?
It wasn't. It was going to be windy, mostly in the higher elevations in Arizona, but the forecast was, much milder than it turned out to be.
Yeah. God. What a drag. Arizona does get those
it's all part of the
high
adventure,
wind
Dylan.
days.
I was like, God, I'm glad. All I was thinking at 4 a.m, I'm like, oh, how much? We have a bunch of 22 ammo. What could we shoot around here if we're stuck for lunch? And I'm like, I did bring the family size pack of beef jerky, so we'll probably be all right. But it's all part of the adventure, man. All part of the story. Well, and just like that, I lost Dylan. So I guess that's going to do it for another episode of the 21.5 Professional Podcast. Thanks everybody for listening, for writing in. And remember, flexibility is the key to air power. We'll see you next time.
Max out in Mississippi checking on the moose. Swap the radio for turbine, turn the power loose. 550 on the dash, climbing through the blue. But watch those cylinder temps, so you're surely through. Then it's off to the river, sleeping on the sand. Till a tree branch snaps and crashes on the land. 3 a.m. army crawl dirt in the face, trying to find a headlamp in the windy ass place. Check the fuel selector, don't you leave it off, or your burner line's dry and the engine's gonna cough. Dylan's vibe coding AI in his hand, building these shafts for the flight path plan. The bottleneck's gonna superpowers here, coding fuel math while we're grabbing the beer. Mailbag's heavy with a 5-year deal, 75 large, man, that's not for real. Brands getting ghosted by a Florida crew, 10 grand missing, what's a pilot to do? Become a thorn in the side, call the CEO. Don't let the management stop your cash flow. It's the frequency, pilots tune in and vibe. 21.5, where the pros come alive. Checklists, jet fuel, and stories that fly. It's the cockpit crew, now let's take it sky.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.